Download and upload more than ever before with an ultra-fast fiber connection. With 3 simple steps, you can be the one with an SLT fiber optic connection. Visit slt.lk.
Government's budget. Minister of Finance adds finishing touches to budget. Targets to reduce the fiscal deficit to 3.5% by 2020. Seeking alliance. Janata Vimukti Peramuna to hold talks with opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa on the executive presidency. Allegation or revelation. 5 Tamil political parties to request for an office of the Human Rights Commission for the North.
TULF, EPRLF and Plot are contending before the Human Rights Council that very grave war crimes have been committed by Sri Lanka's armed forces.
SLC secures $11.5 million held by the ICC since July last year. All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Monday, the 4th of March 2019.
From Ada Derana, this is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Ada Derana 24, Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katrina Chan. Now on to your top story tonight. The budget proposal for the year 2019 is slated to be presented to the Parliament tomorrow by Minister of Finance Mangala Samarveera, focusing on empowering the people and nurturing the poor. Although the budget is usually presented to the Parliament in November, it was postponed until tomorrow due to political instability experienced in the country during the recent months. As a result, a vote on account was also passed in Parliament for the first 3 months of the year until the budget was presented to Parliament.
According to the appropriation bill for the year 2019 presented in Parliament on the 5th of last month, the expected state revenue for the year is estimated to be at Rs 2,390 billion, while the expected state expenditure is Rs 4,550 billion. Accordingly, the budget deficit for the year 2019 is estimated to be 2,160 billion. This year, it is also expected that 50.15% of state expenditure will be allocated for the repayment of domestic and foreign loans. Taking to Twitter, Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samarveera was seen with Secretary to the Treasury RHS Samaratunga making final touches to the budget at his private residence in Panadura, which the minister says is focused on empowering the people and nurturing the poor. Meanwhile, issuing a media communique today, the Ministry of Finance noted that they aim to reduce the fiscal deficit from 4.5% to 3.5% by 2020. The communique went on to say that the budget will also focus on fostering entrepreneurship through the Enterprise Sri Lanka program. The second reading of the budget will be taken up for debate on the 6th of March, while the third and final reading is to be held on the 13th of March to the 5th of April.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana, Professor G.L. Pires, claims that a group of 5 Tamil political parties will rally together to accuse the Sri Lankan armed forces of grave war crimes before the ongoing 40th regular session of the UN Human Rights Council on the 18th of this month. Now, accusing the government of maintaining a calculated silence over these allegations, Professor Pires condemned government's failure to send a ministerial delegation to the session in order to defend the country's armed forces.
The Human Rights Council in Geneva is having a detailed discussion about Sri Lanka on the 18th of March. The former Chief Minister of the Northern Province, Mr. C.V. Vigneswaran and Mr. Sivajalingam have already indicated what they propose to do on this occasion. There are also clear statements by several Tamil parties with regard to this matter. These parties are ITAC, TELO, TULF, EPRLF and Plot. These parties are contending before the Human Rights Council that very grave war crimes have been committed by Sri Lanka's armed forces. And consequently, there is a need for international jurisdiction for foreign judges to be appointed. Indeed, they are going even further than that. They want an office of the Human Rights Commission to be established in the northern part of Sri Lanka, a special commissioner to be appointed, and the report of that commissioner to be handed over to the Human Rights Council within a period of 6 months. It is a matter of a great regret that the government of Sri Lanka is not even sending a ministerial delegation to raise their voice against these reckless and totally unfounded allegations and adopting a policy of calculated silence. Sri Lankans who are working and living in European countries, who are sending large sums of money to the Sri Lankan exchequer, they have made their own arrangements voluntarily as a result of their own initiatives to be present in Geneva and to raise their voice in the absence of the government. Unfortunately, however, they do not have access to the Human Rights Council in the way that the government would have had if the government was present on that occasion. And that is a state of things which we would condemn in the strongest possible terms.
JVP parliamentarian Sunil Handunatti today revealed that his party will hold crucial talks on abolishing the executive presidency. Handunatti said that discussions, the matter will get underway on Wednesday with opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa.
1978 මේ විධායක ජනාධිපතිකමේ හඳුන්වා දීලා 80 ජූලි වර්ධකයෝ ලක්ෂයක් පාර දාලා දේශපාලන පක්ෂ තහනම් කරලා ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී අකුල්ලා දාලා ගෙනිච්ච මිනිමරු පාලනයට විරුද්ධව පාරට බහැලා ජීවිත දන් දුන්න මිනිස්සු මේ පොළොවට ඉන්නවා. ඒ හැමෝම අපේ පරම්පරාවේ වැඩිහිටියෝ විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමයට සදාකාලික වෛර කරපු මිනිස්සු. ඒ නිසා අපිත් ඒ වගේමයි. ඒ නිසා මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ප්‍රවාහය ඇතුලේ විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය වළදාන්න අහෝසි කරන්න ලැබෙන පළවෙනි අවස්ථාව වැඩියම ප්‍රයෝජනට ගන්න කැමැති දේශපාලන ව්‍යාපාරය ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ. ඒ නිසා අපි ලබන 6 වෙනිදාට මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡාවට යනවා. අමාරු තමයි ඒ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ ශක්තිමත් කිරීමේ දිශාව වෙනුවෙන් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡාවට ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ යනවා. ඒ වගේම අපි ලෑස්ති මෛත්‍රීපාල මහත්තයා, රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ, සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙන ඕනම කෙනෙක් එක්ක දෙමළ ජාතික සන්ධානයේ රවුෆ් හකීම්, මනෝ ගණේෂන්ලා මේ ඔක්කොමලත් එක්ක ඕනම කෙනෙක් එක්ක විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය අහෝසි කිරීමේ යෝජනාව සාකච්ඡා කරන්න ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ ලෑස්ති.
Leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa accuses Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe for systematically snatching the powers vested with the president. Speaking at an event held in Kurunegala today, the opposition leader proceeded to say that political instability has driven investors away from the country.
හැබැයි බලනකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයාට වගේ කාලේ අවුරුදු 6 තිබිච්ච එක පහකල. ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ බලබල ප්‍රමාණිකවලව රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා උගුරගෙන තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ බලතල කොමිෂන් හරහා සීමා කරලා තියෙනවා. අද පුළුවන් තරම් බලනවා පොලිසියේ බලතල වැඩි කරන්න. ඒකත් මොකටද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි අපිට පේනවා සමහර රත්ගම වගේ සිද්ධියක් බැලුවම අරුණිය උස්සගෙන ගිහිල්ලා ඝාතනය කරලා පිච්චලා දාලා පොලිසිය පිළිබඳ පැමිණිලියක් ලැබෙනවා. මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් රට තුළ ඇති වෙනකොට රටේ පාලනය පිළිබඳව අපිට තියෙනවා සැකයක්. රටේ විනය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් රට තුළ තියෙනවා. මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් රට තුළ ඇති වෙනකොට රටේ ස්ථාවරත්වය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වෙනවා. ඒක නිසාම අද ආයෝජකයෝ ලංකාවට එන්නේ නැහැ.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that a meaningful change is needed in the country. Speaking to media following an event in Colombo today, the former Defence Secretary added that he is ready to take up this challenge when an opportune moment is presented. 3 books written by Dr. Shant Hettiarachchi were launched at the new town hall premises Colombo today. The gathering was addressed by Professor Carlo Fonseca, former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and several others.
I think ඇත්තටම මේ ළඟදී වෘත්තිකයෙක් හම්බෙලා කතා කරාම කිව්වා සර් මේ හැමතැනම වෙනසක් ගැන කතා කරනවා හැබැයි කවුරුවත් meaningful change එකක් කළා නැහැ කියලා අපිට ඕන meaningful change එකක් අද රටේ කියන කතාව. ඉතින් වෙනසක් සොයනකොට අර්ථයක් ඇති වෙනසක් තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අද ජනතාව බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මොකද හැම කෙනෙක්ම අලුතෙන් එනකොට වෙනසක් ගැන කතා කරත් ජනතාවට අවශ්‍ය බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන රටකට අවශ්‍ය බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන වෙනස සිදු වෙන්නේ නැති හින්දා තමයි ජනතාව අසරණ වෙන්නේ.
රටම සොයන සිද්ධිය සබතුමා ඉදිරියට මහ ජනතාව ලබා දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවද?
පසුගිය වකවානුවේදී මම වෙනසක් ගොඩක් කරානේ. එකක් යුද්ධයක් තිබුණ යුද්ධය ඉවර කරා. මේ නගරයේ වෙනසක් කරා. මට වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් කමක් තියෙනවා. අද මේ ප්‍රශ්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් අය නැහැනේ. කතා කරන අය ඉන්නවා. වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ.
දේශපාලන ධර්ම අදහසක් නැද්ද? කියන්නේ කල් වැඩිද?
කල් වැඩිනේ. ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී නගින්නම්. බලන්නකෝ කරන හැටි.
Leader of the Mahajan Eksat Peramuna UPFA parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena says that the current parliament does not have enough time to go ahead with the 20th amendment to the constitution as there is only 6 months for the presidential election. The MP made these remarks in Kandy after calling on the chief prelates of the Asgiri and Malwatu chapters of Siam sect and Ramanya sect this morning.
Leader of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna and UPFA parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena called on the chief prelate of Ramanya sector, Most Venerable Napane Pemasiri Thera this morning. He also visited chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera, and later met with the Anunayaka Thera of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Dimbulkumbure Vimaladhamma Thera at the Malwatu temple in Kandy.
මේ ආණ්ඩුව බලයට පත් වෙලා අවුරුදු 4ක්. මේ අවුරුදු 4 පුරා ඔවුන්ට තිබුණු අවස්ථාව රටේ දියුණුවට ජනතාවගේ ගැටලු විසඳන්න අපෝසත් වුණු අයවැලේකන දිගටම ඉදිරිපත් කළා. ඉතින් එවැනි ආණ්ඩුවකින් අයවැයක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න බෑ. නමුත් රටේ නෝම ගවන්න බෑ. මොකද දිනපතා රුපියල වැටෙනවා. ජීවන වියදම වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ව්‍යාපාරව අසාධාරණව හෙටට එන අයවැයත් එවැනි මීරිංගුවක් පමණයි. කිසිම අවස්ථාවක ඒකී රාජ්‍යයට හානි වෙන හෝ අහෝසි කරන ක්‍රියාදාමයකට ඒකාබද්ධ විපක්ෂයේ කිසිදු වචනයකින් හෝ හවුල්වීම හෝ එකඟතාවයක් තිබිලා නැහැ. නැදම අවුරුද්දක් තිස්සේ ඔය 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා. අදාළ අංශවලට යනවා, ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණ වලට යනවා, එනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තු න්‍යාය පත්‍රයේ තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයට තව තියෙන්නේ මාස 6යි. ඉතින් ඒ අතරතුර කිසිදු බරපතල වෙනසකට යොමු වීමට පුළුවන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් නෙවෙයි කියන එකයි අපේ විශ්වාසය.
Minister of Mega Police and Western Development Partly Champika Ranawaka says that if the government is to solve the waste disposal issue in the country, political authorities must face religious populist movements who protest against the construction of landfill projects in several areas in the country. The minister went on to say that with the opening of the Aruakkalu Sanitary Landfill in December, the government will be able to dispose 1,200 metric ton of garbage per day.
We have identified over 400 acres for development there in Kerala and we are developing this as a new logistics city actually. It's a temporary thing and at the meantime we issued 2 permits for the incineration plants. We hope that by October the Colombo Municipal Council on incineration plant will be in operation. To handle the clinical waste, we also gave kind of a opportunity to the private sector to put up an incineration plant. It's under operation, I think. And as far as this Aruakkaru thing is concerned, it's a all quarry site. It's 57 acres. I'm proud to say that finally the partial completion of this sanitary landfill is now over. We simply call the local government authorities, they are in the Puttalam district, to hand over their waste to this sanitary landfill from 15th of March. We will be able to transport waste from Colombo to Aruakkaru by December when we complete the transfer station there in Kalaniya and the necessary railway supporting systems will be available by that time. From December, we can handle 1,200 metric tons per day by the Aruakkaru landfill site. If the political authorities are bold enough to face this cheap populist movements led by these so-called religious organizations. I must say that the same organizations were against the Puttalam power plant. 157 billion were lost. But still the same forces who ignited these same cheap populist protests initiated this thing as well. So all the people who protested against proposed sanitary landfills there in Waga, Mipe and other areas should held responsible for Mitotamulla carnage. So we should not allow to repeat the same thing again. We have to have a proper scientific landfills. Before that,
a portrait of the founding member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Herbert Sri Nisanka, was unveiled at the head office of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party today at a function held under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. Eminent lawyer Sri Nisanka entered into politics as a member of the Colombo Municipal Council in 1944 and was elected to the first parliament in 1947 as an independent candidate. In 1951, he was one of the pioneers to form the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. General Secretary of the SLFP, Dasiri Jayasekara, Senior Vice President Dimasiri Paldi Silva, General Secretary to the United People's Freedom Alliance, Mahinda Amravira, and several others participated at the event. Well, today is a significant day for the Hindu community as they celebrate Mahashivaratri, also known as the Great Night of Lord Shiva, marking the overcoming of darkness and ignorance. Leaders of the country, including the President and the Prime Minister as well as the opposition leader, extended their wishes in view of the auspicious day.
Offering his wishes to the Hindu community, President Maithripala Sirisena says religious rituals practiced during Mahashivaratri will provide light to other communities, facilitating inter-religious reconciliation. The President hopes that the lighting of a lamp on this day would enlighten and awake the spiritual lives of people all over the world. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in his Mahashivaratri message stated that he hopes for blissful celebrations and that peace may be achieved through spiritual well-being. The Premier went on to say that the night, celebrated with lights and full of decorations with pure hope for good luck, reflects the light of unity within cultural, religious and ethnic diversity experienced by all Sri Lankans. Extending his wishes to the Hindu community, leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa in his message in view of Mahashivaratri prayed for an era of peace and goodwill that will strengthen bonds of friendship and love among all communities, thereby enriching the country.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Taranjit Singh Sandhu says that India and Sri Lanka will significantly step up cooperation to combat the emerging challenges in the health sector. The Indian High Commissioner, who was addressing the inauguration ceremony of the 3-day exhibition in Colombo, Medicare 2019, underlined cooperation as the need of the hour in the healthcare sector and noted that there are several lessons which both countries can learn from each other in the domain. In his address, the High Commissioner complimented Sri Lanka for its outstanding achievements in the sector, including its improved health indicators, which are comparable to some of the most developed countries in the world. The 10th edition of Medicare exhibition was inaugurated by Minister of Health Dr. Rajendra Senaratne and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Taranjit Singh Sandhu. Bangladesh naval ship Dal Shivari arrived at the port of Colombo on a goodwill visit yesterday. It was welcomed by the Sri Lanka Navy in accordance with naval traditions. During the 4-day official visit, the ship's crew is scheduled to visit some of the famous tourist attractions in the country and take part in several programs, including friendly sporting events and cultural events organized by the Sri Lanka Navy. BNS Dal Shivari is an 81-meter-long vessel with a displacement of 1,920 tons. She is manned by a crew of 183. The ship is scheduled to leave the island on Wednesday. And with that, we cross over to a short commercial break, so make sure you stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is Other Derana 24.
The The construction of Sri Lanka's largest export processing zone commenced in Bingiriya today. Addressing the official ceremony in Bingiriya, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe pledged to develop the district of Kurunegala, saying that several major development initiatives will be completed in the upcoming months.
Construction work on the country's largest export processing zone commenced under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Bingiriya today. This is the first export processing zone to be set up in Sri Lanka after 15 years. Located on a 12,000-acre site, the Bingiriya EPZ will be developed under 3 stages, with the first focusing on 164 acres to house 25 enterprises. The second phase will span 282 acres, followed by a third phase, which will develop in the remainder of the space. The zone, once fully developed in an estimated 8 to 12 years, is set to generate 75,000 jobs.
Along with the export processing zone in Bingiriya, we now have 15 economic zones in the country. Why would they accuse me of not being interested in developing agriculture when I was the one to revive the country to self-sufficiency after King Parakamabahu VI? Former leader D.S. Senanayake and J.R. Jayawardena initiated the process, and this was the result of our efforts. There is no point in claiming that the country will be divided and Tamil fighters will return. How can we develop this country without being afraid? After the new government was established in 2015, I asked parliamentarian Malik Samaravikrama whether we can establish a new economic zone, to which he responded that all zones we already have are empty. There aren't even 10 factories in the Mirijavila export processing zone. We can develop the district of Kurunegala. We have always done what we have said. We still have things to do, and we will complete them during the coming months.
Oil prices rose today, buoyed by OPEC output cuts and reports that the United States and China are inching closer to a deal on a tariff road that has slowed global economic growth. International Brent futures were up 80 cents at $65.87 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 55 cents at $56.35 a dollar per barrel. The United States and China appear close to a deal that would roll back US tariffs on at least $200 billion worth of Chinese goods, as Beijing makes pledges on structural economic changes and eliminates retaliatory tariffs on US goods. A Reuters survey found that supply from the OPEC fell to a 4-year low in February as top exporters Saudi Arabia and its allies over-delivered on the group's supply pact, while Venezuelan output registered a further involuntary decline. At least 23 people have been killed as tornadoes struck Lee County in the state of Alabama in the United States today. County sheriff said there had been catastrophic damage and there are fears that more bodies would be found. Dozens are thought to have been hurt and rescue efforts are currently being carried out in the state. The most devastating tornado struck the area around Beauregard, carving a path at least half a mile wide. The National Weather Service of the United States meanwhile warned of high winds of up to 165 kilometers per hour for the affected areas. Tornado warnings were also issued for Georgia, Florida and South Carolina. Weather systems are more conducive for United States during these months as warm air flows north from the Gulf of Mexico at the same time as storm systems are propelled into the south and Midwest by southwest dip in the jet stream. These latest tornadoes appear to have carried the deadliest toll since 35 people were killed in Arkansas and Mississippi in April 2014. Pope Francis announced today that he has decided to fully open the Vatican's secret archives on the wartime pontificate of Pope Pius XI, something which Jews have been seeking for decades. Some Jews have accused Pius, who reigned from 1939 to 1958, of turning a blind eye to the Holocaust during World War II by not speaking out forcefully. The Vatican has said Pius worked quietly behind the scenes to save Jews and so as to not worsen the situation for many, including for Catholics in parts of Nazi-occupied Europe. Francis announced in a speech to members of the Vatican's secret archives that the archives will open on 2nd of March next year. He said the Church is not afraid of history, adding that pious legacy had been treated with some prejudice and exaggeration. The American Jewish Committee, one of the world's leading Jewish groups, welcomed the move. The chief financial officer of China's tech giant Huawei is suing Canada over her arrest at the request of the United States. Meng Wanzhou was held in December at Vancouver Airport on suspicion of fraud and breaching U.S. sanctions on Iran. On Friday, Meng filed a civil claim against Canada's government, border agency and police for serious breaches of her civil rights. It comes on the same day that Canada officially launched Meng Wanzhou's extradition process to the United States. China has attacked her arrest and the extradition process as a political incident, while Meng denies all the charges against her. The United States alleges Huawei misled the U.S. and a global bank about its relationship with two subsidiaries, Huawei Device USA and Skycom Tech, to conduct business with Iran. It also alleges Huawei stole technology from T-Mobile used to test smartphone durability, as well as obstructing justice and committing wire fraud. The U.S. has laid 23 charges against the company. Up next is sports news, so make sure you stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is Other Derana 24.
Sri Lanka Cricket announced yesterday that its newly appointed executive committee was able to release its due monetary allocations from the International Cricket Council amounting to $11.5 million, which was withheld since July 2018. The ICC froze the funds to Sri Lanka after the country's government appointed a competent authority last year to run the body following a bitter dispute between rival candidates. The funds have been released following high-level discussions held between ICC and the local cricket governing body. During discussions, attention has also been drawn on matters pertaining to the 2019 Cricket World Cup and plans of SLC's future international cricket tours and development programs. The SLC delegation has assured that as a full member state with the freedom of managing its overall affairs and strategies, affairs pertaining to cricket will be conducted without any political interference. Measures have been taken by the Sri Lankan Airlines to fly the stranded Pakistan blind cricket team back to their native country. In the wake of escalating tensions with India over the past few days, Pakistan closed its airspace on the 27th of February, following which the Pakistani team had to delay their departure. Latest foreign media reports, however, say that the Pakistani airspace has now been reopened.
After border tensions escalated between India and Pakistan last week, the Pakistan government closed its airspace for domestic and international flights. This forced the 24-member Pakistan blind cricket team to postpone its departure from Sri Lanka following their tour of Sri Lanka, in which the team whitewashed the hosts 3-0 in the ODI series.
Yesterday, our flight was cancelled Colombo to Lahore. Today, Sri Lanka Airlines accommodated us. Tomorrow morning, sending Colombo to Karachi via Qatar Airways.
Team LA Galaxy unveiled the statue of their former players and football star David Beckham yesterday. Now, the statue of first for an MLS player honours the former England captain, who was the first big European name to join the league, boosting its popularity and paving the way for other global stars to make the leap. Beckham won back-to-back championships in 2011 and 2012 during his 6 years and 98 appearances with the Galaxy. And with that, we conclude this edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.